and you're listening to Communities Live on Sheffield Live Radio 93.2 FM with me, Susie Casson, and T-Boy, and we're joined in the studio by Alan Trickett from South Yorkshire Freedom Riders. Welcome, Alan.
Thanks, Susie. As normal, we thank you very much for the invite.
Yeah, lovely to see you again. So, can you just remind us a bit what travel concessions were lost and what have been regained?
Yeah, briefly, we've said it all before, but briefly, before 2014, the travel concessions was buses, which was national, of course, in Sheffield tram, South Yorkshire trains, and trains into West Yorkshire. That was for disabled at any time of day and senior citizens after 9 o'clock. Then, out of the blue, the Transport Committee voted to do away with the trains and do away with the 9 o'clock start. All of a sudden, it has to be 9:30. And this was the Transport Committee. Now, after that decision, the very next day, Sheffield Regional Combined Authority started, which is a big coincidence. They took all the responsibility of travel concessions away from the Transport Committee, although we have further found that the South Yorkshire Passenger Transport Executive, who of course are not elected, and vastly overpaid what I think are bureaucrats, dictating to our elected councillors. So we lost all the extras for a saving of £329,000 a year. We, after 2 or 3 months, we managed to regain, with public opinion, all concessions back for disabled people, which was needed for these people. It was a traumatic thing when they had the transport taken off them. And then they allowed seniors our fare in South Yorkshire only. They wouldn't let us go into West. Then immediately, Northern Mail made it that 4 o'clock to 6:30 in the afternoon, our travel passes don't count. So it made a nonsense of the half fare, but which now leaves a saving to the authorities of £200,000 a year. Now, it's just come to his knowledge that last year the transport on concessionary travel only was £2 million underspent. So 200,000 of that could have been spent on us, and it should have been. And this year we're expecting, it's been forecasted a further £1.2 million underspend. That's not for all travel, this is concessionary travel only. So the £3.2 million underspend, and they've saved £200,000. It does not make sense.
No, absolutely. So the South Yorkshire Freedom Riders are continuing to campaign for the restoration of the concessions, which is great. How long has that been going on, Alan?
Immediately after the decision, which was announced in February 2014, to say that we would lose these concessions at the end of March, immediately South Yorkshire Freedom Riders was formed. And our protests, of course, used to be jumping on trains and refusing to pay, but the transport police had different thoughts, and it got rather too frightening for elderly people to do such things. But we still do things every Monday, whenever we can, and it becomes our 3rd anniversary on the 27th of this month, which is the nearest Monday to our 3rd anniversary.
Right, and are you doing anything special to mark the 3rd anniversary?
Yeah, we certainly are. We're hoping for the biggest rally that we've ever had certainly for a long time. The rally is on the 27th of March, that's a Monday, and that's at outside the main entrance of Sheffield train station. The day starts for us in Barnsley. Obviously there's not many can get to Barnsley, but we start at the bus station at 10:45 to board the 11:24 train to Sheffield, which of course calls at Wunwell, Elsica, Chapeltown and Meadowhall. Then arriving in Sheffield at 11:57, which then we hope to meet all the rest of our Freedom Riders from all over South Yorkshire, especially Doncaster and of course Sheffield people. Now the one big objective is to disgrace and humiliate and embarrass our councillors for the shameful decisions they made 3 years ago and make them rethink their actions. And we are hoping for the largest ever turnout. We have guest speakers from all over, including Tosh MacDonald. Tosh, at the time, he's been with us right from day one. He was the vice president of ASLEF, a big union. He is now the president of the same union, and he'll be there to speak. He's a gentleman, he's a very good speaker, he is not to be missed. He certainly talks sense. Now, please remember, the bigger the turnout, the bigger chance we have of bringing back our free travel. They won't listen to us with putting signatures at them. Millions of signatures we've gained. They just throw them in the bin. But actually see people, hopefully get ourselves on TV and local papers and radio stations like this one. Hopefully they will come to the senses and have a rethink about what they've done. So please try to get to us on the 27th. Now if you are intimidated with the thoughts that there will be transport police, even if they're in the backgrounds, they will still make themselves known. But please don't be frightened or put off by this. They'll be looking at the people such as us that are instigating it all. They're not looking at people at the background that's there simply to listen and try and make a bigger show of it all. So we need people, especially from smaller places such as Kiverton Park, which is almost on the border of Nottingham. Now there, they used to be able to get a train direct to Leeds after 9 o'clock. No hindrance to anyone, of no cost to anyone, other than this small amount to South Yorkshire executives. Now, for Kiverton Park people to get to Leeds is absolutely impossible. They cannot do. And there's other places. Swinton is a big village, town village, in between Rotherham and Doncaster. Now they've got a marvellous train service. Their bus service is horrendous. It's spasmodic and it's not very good at all. But the trains, they can get a train to Doncaster, they can get a train to Sheffield, and they used to be able to get a train direct to Leeds. Same with those, they cannot do such things. Penistone, their bus service is even worse than Swinton, and they can get straight on a train to Huddersfield and Sheffield. And there's lots of villages, much the same. Wathondern, Thurcroft, Dinnington, all South Yorkshire villages. Not just people from big towns, it's everyone can make a difference. So if you could possibly meet us on the 27th, around about 12 o'clock midday, I'm sure enough of us will make a difference.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Communities Live on Sheffield Live Radio 93.2 FM with me, Susie Casson, and T-Boy. And welcome back, Alan Trickett from South Yorkshire Freedom Riders. So you were telling us about the demonstration on the 27th of March, Alan. That's at Sheffield main station.
Yes, that's a Monday, 27th of March. We do it Monday simply because that is when we used to do them 3 years ago. So anyone at all that can possibly get to us, we will assemble just before 12 o'clock. If I'm there earlier, I'll be in the station to welcome people from Doncaster trains and any other train that we think might have our people on. We'll be there to meet them actually on the platforms. But anyone coming by bus or even car or whatever, if you get outside the main entrance, Sheffield station, you'll hear us, you'll find us. Come with something to make a noise. I like a whistle. I even have a cowbell. Let them half make a row. It's anything at all that can make a noise when we wish you to do so. We will also have loud hailers for our specialist speakers. But anyone wishing to speak, if you see one of our people, we will put you on the list to have a quick word to the group if that's what anyone wishes. So there we are, 27th of March, around about 12 o'clock midday.
Great. So South Yorkshire Freedom Riders are a very active group. Have you been talking to individual councillors and MPs?
Yes, most of us have tried. This is the way that you would imagine that you'd go. Talk to your local councillors, your local MP, and let them know they're the professionals. Let them take it up on your behalf. But unfortunately, everyone seems to get the same results as myself. I've met a few. I met Amy Brooks, a Rotherham councillor. Ever such a nice young woman. Very sympathetic to our cause. And she seems to think something as important as this should have a review timescale on it. Now, there's never been any mention. They withdrew as concessions without saying, let's see how it goes for a couple of years or whatever. There was no excuses, only to save this minimum amount of money. So she's under the impression there should be a review at some stage or another, which she's still looking into for us, and we hope to hear from her soon. I also spoke to Robert Welsh, another Rotherham councillor. Now his view, short of knocking heads together, with the Transport Committee and this new formed authority, he seems to think we should be lobbying the South Yorkshire Passenger Transport Executive, not councillors, but then he would do. And also he was well unaware of the underspend. Now, this seems as though in council circles it's all top secret. You have to find these things out. They do not publicise. So he was taken aback when I explained the underspend to him. He did find out that this year there will be no further cuts, which they'd have to go some if they did. But we've always thought that the tram might be in jeopardy. Now, there was always talk of a tram train that can go from Meadowhall to start to Rotherham and then further afield into South Yorkshire. Now, this had been proposed, postponed, simply because they can't get the electricity supply. And trams, unfortunately, need electricity to run on. They're saying, the train authorities are saying they will not electrify just for trams it has to be for trains as well, but the dual electricity supply needed is out of the question totally. It's a total different subject altogether. So it's just a way of postponing it. After yet again, South Yorkshire have paid millions and millions of pounds in research and new trams. So that's my experience of local council. Now, I've been trying to get hold of Sir Kevin Barron, MP, or Rotherham MP. I've been trying for 2 months just to talk to him, and I never get past his secretary. It seems a different secretary, most phone calls, and they always say, I will phone you back within a couple of days, and they never do. Now, last week I called again, and what seems to be his top secretary, Jackie. Now, she calls the MP Mr. Barron. I always thought it was Sir Kevin. But she didn't like me about his knighthood. It was for services to politics. Now, wouldn't it be nice if it was services for other people? But there we are, it's services to politics. I told her of this radio show and would like his opinion of the South Yorkshire Freedom Riders, of which she told me I was using threatening behaviour. If that's threatening behaviour, trying to ask your local MP a question, then it must have been threatening behaviour. But there we are. That's we've had another experience of Dan Jarvis in Barnsley. He wants an apology for one of our people writing in the Chronicle. Now, this MP, back in 2014, this was the one that called us fair dodgers. So I can't see we're going to get a lot of response off of those two.
But if either wanted to come on the show, we'd be very welcome to come and put their point of view, wouldn't they? Be interesting to hear from them. I'm
sure we'd love that too, but they all sit back and they won't put themselves on a limb at all.
Great. So I was going to ask you, Alan, the new high-speed train everyone's talking about, is that going to make a difference, do you think, to the South Yorkshire Freedom Riders?
Well, on the face of it, you wouldn't think so, but the high-speed train, London to Leeds via Birmingham, at a cost, of course, of £55.7 billion, it makes our 200,000 look a little bit on the cheap side. £55.7 billion. And of course, like all these kind of things, you can nearly double that for actual costs. It always runs into twice as much as we know we experience with everything else. Now, they had consultations, and I went to Aston Hall and the Consort Hotel in Thurcroft. And there were around about 50 officials and big burly security people, all stopping in the hotels. It must have cost a fortune, but there we are. That's when you've got 55.7 billion, I don't suppose that really matters. Now, I managed to talk to two of the representatives, and these was from the Department of Transport. They've got representatives for all manner of different things, but these two were from the Department of Transport. Now, as I explained to them, if they want us to get closer to London and Birmingham, then why cannot we have the same concessions that London and Birmingham have, i.e. free local trains? London, they get the free underground as well as overground trains. Birmingham have free trains. Why can't South Yorkshire? In fact, why can't Yorkshire? If they want to rip through Yorkshire, upsetting people's lives for something we don't want, surely as a gesture, they could give us our concessions back.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, thank you, Alan. Thanks for updating us. And can you just remind us of the peaceful demonstration on the 27th?
The peaceful demonstration. So long as it's loud, we all for peaceful demonstrations.
Loud but peaceful.
That's it. Monday, 27th of March. Please come along. Bring your whistles. Bring whatever you can find, and we'll introduce you to everyone. They're all nice people, as all South Yorkshire people are. You'll be quite welcome, and you will make that difference. And enough of us, we will